Okay, now for annuities, this is one of the most sought after discussions dito sa module na to kasi parang ito yung laging common na ginagawa natin, 'di ba? We usually pay for some things like kung may utang ka, you have to pay for this for every X value or X time, 'di ba? So a general cash flow diagram involving a series of uniform equal. So this has to be this has to be specified. Equal dapat yung binabayad natin. Each amount we represent this as A. So occurring at each end of the period for n periods with interest at I% per period is shown below. So such a uniform series is often called annuity. So, ang una natin is that if P occurs at one interest period before the first A, so uniform amount siya, F occurs at the same time as the value of last A and N periods after P, and A is the annual equivalent value. So, yung end periods ng 1 is through N, inclusive siya. So, kasama yon. And then yung A, annual equivalent value natin, may occur at the beginning period known as annuity due. So, in short, meron tayong two types of annuities. So, the first one is your ordinary annuity or the uniform series. The annuities paid at the end of each period. So, for example, you have this present equivalent, okay? And then, di ba, umutang ka at a certain amount. So, this is your present value, no? So, you have to pay for that. And then, the first payment should come after the end of your first period. So, basically, kung halimbawa, umutang ako ngayon, let's say, January 1. So, you'll be paying after the first period. Let's say, monthly ka magpe-pay. So, basically, the payment should start at, basically, February 1. So, yun na yung, at the end of each period. And that's the most common annuity that we have. That's ordinary annuity. Okay, so yung A natin is our uniform amount na binabayad doon. So same pa rin interest rate per period, yung F is the future amount and P is the present equivalent, and N is the number of interest periods. So ito yung ating formula. The quantity in bracket is known, itong 1 minus 1 plus I raised to negative n over I is known as the uniform series present worth factor. So you can just use your USPWF, uniform series present worth factor. Yung iba, uniform present worth factor na lang ginagamit para mas simplified. Pero this is your uniform series present worth factor nga used to find the present worth using your annuities. So, pag alam mo yung annuities mo, you just use this uniform series present worth factor and then you'll be able to get your present worth. Now, pag tinake natin yung reciprocal nito, so alam naman natin na, di ba, pag reciprocal nito, mangyayari lang dyan, pagbabalikan natin numerator, denominator, but in that case, we'll be able to get your value of A given your present worth, and that multiplier to the present worth is what we call the capital recovery factor. So in short, kapag meron kang certain present worth and you want to find your certain annuity that you have to pay, so this deals with, for example, meron akong utang na 20,000 and I want to find what is the certain amount of annuity that I have to pay in order to para matapos yung inyong utang na yon. So I have to multiply this with the capital recovery factor, that is the reciprocal of your uniform series present worth factor. Now likewise, yung ating F, which is the future worth. So this is actually given by your annuity multiplied by 1 plus I raised to n minus 1 over I. So this is your factor known as the uniform series future worth factor. Now, if you have a future worth, for example, yung worth ng 20,000 na to after n years would be 40,000. And then I want to find that annuity that you'll be able to give me kung meron kang certain value of this future worth. So I have to multiply that future worth by the sinking fund factor. So that is the reciprocal of your future worth. And basically, if you add the interest rate from the sinking or at the sinking fund factor, then you should be able to get your capital recovery factor. So ganun lang siya kasimple, no? You just have to remember na kapag meron tayong present worth, your 1 should come first before this 1 plus I, and then of course negative siya kasi we're talking about present. And then kapag naman future, this 1 comes after 1 plus I raised n, which di ba tandaan natin, this one is simple interest compound factor. So ganun lang siya kasimple for our annuity. But later on, you'll be able to get a more understanding on this pag nag-solve na tayo. Now, let's proceed with the deferred annuity. So this is the second type of your annuity. So we call this the deferred annuity. Okay, so a deferred annuity, so the cash flow does not begin until some later date, and then the annuity is known as deferred annuity. So in short, you are supposed to pay at the end of the first period, diba? Ganun naman usually, no? Pero what if you're not able to pay at a certain reason? So for example, wala ka pang pera, so pwede bang sa ano na lang ako magbayad next month or next month magbayad. Sasabihin sa'yo nung pinaghiraman mo. Sorry. Nung pinaghiraman mo na, o sige, so sabihin niya, pwede naman, pero ang yung principal mo na inutang, I will incorporate a certain interest rate for that, and then you have to recompute for your annuity using the certain amount na na-accumulate from that period. So, ang ibig sabihin lang nun, ganito na lang yung nangyayari dyan. Your present worth, so you have this annuity that you should be paying comprising na yung ito P given FI percent J. So, 'di ba sabi natin kung meron tayong cash flow and then syempre dito sa portion na to which hindi ka pa nagbabayad, nag-accumulate na diyan yung ating principal. Hindi na siya kagaya ng principal na inutang mo, 'di ba? And yung convention na yon na nag-accumulate na principal is ito yon. Ito na yung nagiging parang new value niya, 'di ba? So given your P, so this becomes your future worth for your principal, and then this is the equation. So ito equation is pabalik to, no, pero kung future naman, so this one is the equation that we'll be using. So basically itong n minus j, kung mapapansin nyo, is yung n is the number of periods that you should be paying your annuity, and then you just have to subtract your j, which is the starting period j plus 1, which is the starting period na nag-end yung computation natin dun sa ating interest rate, and then yon subtract mo lang yon, then you should be able to get the years na additional for that. So ang ibig sabihin lang nito, halimbawa 3 years ka hindi nakapagbayad, so yung principal mo multiply siya sa 1 plus I raised to 3 kasi yun yung kanyang simple interest rate, and then ito ngayon yung ating gagamitin to find the annuity or probably the future worth kung yun yung kailangan mo within the period na natira dun sa iyong payment. So ganun siya ginagawa. Okay, now actually mali pala sinabi kong dalawang types, pero pala tayong tatlong types kasi nakalimutan ko actually itong deferred. So, ang ordinary annuity, expected ko kasi yun yung pangalawa eh. So, meron na ordinary annuity, deferred, yung hindi ka pa nakapagbayad agad, and then the last one, sure na to, the last one is the annuity due. So, pag sinabi natin annuity due, na this one is when your annuity is paid at the beginning of each period. So, nakakatawa to kasi, di ba umutang ka? For example, umutang ka ng, let's say, 20,000. So, yung annuity mo, babayaran mo rin siya dun sa moment na umutang ka, diba? So, halimbawa, 20,000. So, bayad ka mo agad, 5,000. So, bali, 15,000 lang yung makukuha mo. And this one is a commercialized version ng ating mga parang, ano ba yung tawag dun? Yung, basta nakalimutan ko ng tawag dun sa mga ganong promo. Yung parang, magbibigay sa'yo ng 20,000. Sige, pwede ka mag-loan 20,000. Pero makukuha mo lang talaga is 15,000 kasi yung 5,000 parang down mo na yun sa first payment mo ng annuity. So, ito yung tinatawag natin na annuity due. So, ganun. And the formula here is given by this, saan ba yun? Ito. The formula is something like this, no? The difference from the previous one, from the ordinary annuity, is that you add another annuity here. Kasi alam naman natin, nag-start ka, nauna ka, so therefore you have to add this first annuity from the beginning 0, and then this one is your factor. Now, this is the uniform series present worth factor, pero siya is raised to negative n minus 1. So you have to be careful with this. That is negative n plus 1 as well. So that is for your present. Then for the sinking fund, uniform series future worth factor, so that is n, diba? Supposedly n lang yan, and then n plus 1 din siya for this case. So yun yung ating magiging formula for our future worth. By the way, we have to subtract another annuity for this kasi kung mapansin nyo, kung yung future worth mo is nag-start ka dito and then you're paying for this. So, at end period, medyo sobrang dami mo nang naibayad dyan. That's why we're trying to subtract the very first annuity that you have paid dun sa ating beginning period. Kasi pag future worth kasi, you still have to incorporate yung pinaka-last period instead of just ending with your N-1 period. Kasi supposedly, di ba, parang, kung isipin mo, nagbayad na ako dito sa una. So, dapat N-1 na lang ako mag-end. Pero hindi kasi ganun yung nangyayari sa atin sa, sa annuity due. You still have to end up with N. Pero yung with that notion, subtract mo naman itong annuity dito just to compensate with what you have paid initially. So, yun yung ating magiging annuity, no? Now, there is another type of annuity which is a special type. So, we call this the perpetuity. So, if your annuity is paid indefinitely, so for example, halimbawa, meron kang plan, let's say life insurance, and then yung payment mo is you will pay for the rest of your life, ganun, hanggat buhay ka. So, basically, kung halimbawa, hanggang mura lang, no? Pero hanggat buhay ka, magbabayad ka, no? And then, makukuha mo lang yon yung pera na yun pag namatay ka, which is hindi ka na makakuha yung, benefits mo, libre libing, libre lahat, pero yung mga family members mo na makakuha. So anyway, kunwari ganun lang naman. Though wala akong alam na ganung certain plan. Now for present worth, yung n natin approaches to infinity. So alam niyo naman to, pag this one approaches to infinity, so this reduces to 0, diba? So going back to your original equation, if you have this value approaching to infinity, so this one is your infinity, no? So this becomes 1 over infinity, and then this becomes a over I. Pero syempre, wala na itong a kasi this one is your deferred. Kung halimbawa sa ordinary annuity tayo nagsosolve, ito halimbawa, diba, this is ordinary annuity. So if you rewrite this in terms of a and then 1 minus 1 over 1 plus I raised to n, and then I. So if n approaches to infinity, then therefore this becomes 0, which leaves us your a over I. Okay? So yung a over I, hindi lang siya nag-exist sa mga AI natin, hindi lang siya nag-exist sa computer or online games. So yung a over I, pwede rin siya makita dito. So if you want to find your present worth, you just have to divide your annuity to the interest rate, and then makukuha mo na yung iyong present worth using that. And if you want to find your annuity using your present worth, ganun lang din, multiply mo naman siya sa I. Now question, what is the future worth when you have a certain annuity that you're paying? So basically, the answer is something like infinity, kasi ano ba yung value ng annuity mo na binabayaran sa future? Sabi nga natin perpetuity. So ibig sabihin nun, it extends beyond your life, di ba? To the ends of the earth yan. So ano yung future worth niya? So basically, infinite yon kasi hindi natin siya ma-determine talaga eh. And even if you try to use your equation here, ito, and then you try to substitute or take the limit of n as approaches to infinity, then this becomes infinite as well. So that makes sense na ang ating yun nga, ang ating present worth is infinite or at infinity. So let's head into the problems for your annuities. Now for number 8, we have Jones Corporation. So it borrowed 9,000 from Brown Corporation on January 1, 2016 and 12,000 on January 1, 2018. Now, Jones Corporation made a partial payment of 7,000 on January 1, 2019. It was agreed that the balance of the loan would be amortized by 2 payments, one on January 1, 2020 and the other one on January 1, 2021. The second being 50% larger than the first. If the interest rate is 12%, what is the amount of each payment? Now, we start analyzing this problem by drawing cash flow diagram. Okay? And then, yung ating initial would be the 2016 and then nagborrow siya ng 9,000. So basically pataas yung ating arrow dyan. So we have here 2016 and then siguro lagyan ko na lang dito ng 2016. Then in 2017 wala man nangyari pero meron ng 2018 which in this case nagborrow ulit tayo ng additional pero 12,000 yung binaro, mas malaki siya, no? Okay. So, dito, for the first one, we have 9,000. This one is 12,000. Okay, how about dun sa, noong 2019 naman, nag-partial payment tayo. So, basically, kung nagbayad tayo, nabawasan yung pera natin. So, basically, pababa dapat siya. Okay? So, that is noong 2019. And then, that is amounting to 7,000. And then, syempre, meron ka na lang 2 years. So, basically, may 2 years na natitira dito and then ginawa nila is in-amortize niya dun sa 2 years na yon yung kulang na kailangan bayaran. So, basically, what you have here is your payment 2020 and of course 2021. So, yung 2020 at 2021, magkaiba sila ng payment kasi sabi dito, your 2021 should be 50% larger than the first. So, yun. And then 2020 is assuming natin na at a certain value, no? So, therefore, kung halimbawa ang ating payment for 2020 is, let's say, X, okay? So, therefore, your payment for 2021 would be X plus 50% larger. So, that is X plus 0.5X, which gives us 1.5X. Okay, so this is 50% larger than the first. Now, how do we solve this problem if we need to amortize this into two payments? No. Now, the way that we can solve for this is to make this or bring this to your present or future, depende kung saan sa inyo mas comfortable. But in this case, I'll be doing something like I'll be transferring this to the futures. Ang lahat is sa future natin dadalhin. So, basically, kung dadalhin natin lahat sa future, so from this, dadalhin natin siya sa future, okay? As well as this one, yung hiniram natin at dalawa siya. And then, of course, yung ating mga binayad dito noong 2019, 2020, as well, ito, 2021 naman is mag-i-stay. So, ito yung ating future reference na sinasabi. So, basically, ito yung ating cash flow diagram and hopefully, nag-gets nyo sa kung bakit meron siyang certain arrow na nandyan. It just means na dinala natin lahat in the future yung ating payment. Now, since we need to amortize, meaning kailangan nating bayaran yung ating nagastos or nahiram. Actually, nahiram dun sa ating from Brown Corporation. So, let's compute kung magkano ba talaga yung nahiram mo if we're trying to pay that on 2021. So, in this case, if I have 9,000 and then we have an interest rate of 12%. So, basically, what we have here is a simple interest. Okay? So, meron lang tayong simple interest dyan. And then, we have to bring this to your 2021. So, with this, your indebtedness here or yung kailangan mong bayaran would be 9,000. So let's say we have here to pay. You have to pay 9,000 and then bring this to future. This will amount to around 1 plus 0.12. So that's 1.12. And then you raise this to your number of years. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is 5. Okay? So this is your first payment for 9,000. This is the amount. And this is added to your 12,000. Pero we have to bring it to your future then. So 1 plus 0.12. And then instead of using 5, we have actually 1, 2, 3. So we just have 3 years for that. So ito yung magiging total natin na bayaran. Or bayarin pala. So meron tayong 9,000 times 1.12 raised to 5 plus 12,000 times 1.12 raised to 3. So basically, meron tayong 32,720.21115 pesos na kailangan bayaran dito. Now, if we will amortize this into two payments, wherein the first payment is larger than the second. Pero with this, alam naman natin na we have to include yung 7,000 na binayaran natin before that. So, in this case, we can say na this one should be equated so your payments, so your payment is actually this 7,000. And if you try to bring the 7,000 sa inyong future, this becomes, yung value na nito would be something like 1 plus 0.12, and then we raise this to 1, 2, which is 2 years. And then we add your X payment made on 2020, so that is X times 1 plus 0.12 raised to just 1 year, and then finally you add this payment, which is 1.5x. Okay, now so this is basically what you should be doing in this kind of problem. Medyo complicated siya, but just try to understand that pag meron tayong certain problems like this, you just have to bring all of these values in a certain point of reference. In this case, I use the future reference. Pero you can use the present in that way, ibabalik lang natin to lahat sa present, which is in 2016. So same lang din naman yung concept niya, no? It's just that for me, mas madali ito kasi yung payment kasi dito is 1.5x lang. So basically yung ating mga payments done, hindi na natin kailangan ilayo pa siya dito kasi nasa future na sila. So anyway, this would be equated. So to balance or to amortize, you have to equate this payment and your your payment at saka yung mga kailangan bayaran. So that is 32,720.2115. Actually ko lang pala isang 1. So 1.5, equate natin to ngayon dito sa equation na to. So that is, now yung 7,000, bringing this to 2021 would give you a value of 8,780.8 na siya. So 8,780.8. And then you add these two, so we have 1.5x plus 1.12x. So yun na yung ating magiging value for x. Now, bakit wala na tong 1.12x? Kasi if you try to kahit lagyan mo naman siya, and then that will be raised to 0. So basically, wala na siyang, magiging 1 na lang yung value niya. So technically, you just have to copy this payment na ginawa mo on 2021. So using this formula, we should be able to get your answer na. So that is x is equal to 9,137.1798. Okay, and then the second payment, which is 1.5x, is equal to 13,705.7697. Okay, so this is your final answer. And hopefully nag-gets nyo yung concept ng ating cash flow. It's just that what you have to do is to bring all the payments to its respective point of reference. Now in this case, I used future, but you can always use your present worth. So if you try to do the present worth in this case, then you can use an arrow going backwards naman. So dito, punta dito. Okay, so ito, punta dyan, and then this one is also going here, dito, and then finally ito. Okay, so ganun yung magiging atin for present. But you're free to choose whichever you like. Same lang din yung makukuha nyo pag ganun. Okay, so in short, the company has to pay 9,137.1798 on 2020, and then 13,705.7697 sa 2021 to amortize the remaining payments or indebtedness of them from Brown Corporation. Okay, so I think that's all for number 8, and now let's proceed to the next number 9. Okay, now for next problem, we have a woman borrowed 3,000 to be paid after 1.5 years with an interest rate of 12% compounded semi-annually, and 5,000 to be paid after 3 years at 12% compounded monthly. What single payment must she paid after 3.5 years at an interest rate of 16% compounded quarterly to settle the two obligations? So dito, kailangan ang ating cash flow diagram para ma-analyze natin kasi medyo complicated yung nangyari now. So let's draw the cash flow diagram in this case. So if we have this time frame natin, no? And then initially nag-borrow siya ng 3,000. So lagyan natin dito 3,000. So pataas siya kasi nag-borrow siya, no? 3,000. Ganyan lang kalaki, no? And then, nag-borrow ulit siya ng 5,000. So, basically, dalawang beses siya nag-borrow, no? Probably sa magkaibang tao to, no? Then, yung una is, sabi sa kanya, 1.5 years mo kailangan bayaran to at ganitong condition. And then, yung isa is 5,000 naman, and then 3 years siya. So, let's try adding another payment, no? I mean, another indebtedness. So, dalawa sila. Okay, so basically, ito yung hitsura ng kanyang cash flow diagram. And then, we need to actually pay this after 3.5 years. So, ang gagawin ko ngayon is maglalagay muna ako ng mga time frame natin. So, 0, start with 0, and then, siguro dito yung kanyang first year, and then this is the second year, and then this one is the third year. So, basically, yung gitna nila is 1.5, 2.5. So, kung ito is yung pa fourth year na, so basically, dapat dito, you should be able to pay that in a single payment. So, gawin natin na ibang kulay yung single payment niya. So, let's say red. Okay. So, single payment, magbabayad tayo. So, basically, meron dyang arrow doon. And, lakihan natin para mas, mas tama dito. And the question is, what single payment should be paid for this to accommodate all the obligations natin? So, let's name this as F. Okay? And then, gawin natin is yung first natin na binarrow, which is 3,000, we have P1, and then this one is your P2. So, basically, this is 3,000, okay? And then your P2 is actually equal to 5,000. And then, what would be your F in this case? Ano ba yung importance nung 1.5 years in the problem? Kasi sinabi doon na you should be able to pay that first, your 3,000 pala, in 1.5 years. So, basically, kung gano'n, di kailangan pala bayad na yon. Sabi 3.5 years pa natin siya babayaran. So, lagyan natin ngayon ng certain dito, parang marking na indicating na this is at 1.5 years, kailangan doon na mag-stop yung ating payment for the first, doon na dapat magbabayad. Now, let's do this as well dun sa ating isang payment, which is 5,000. So, that is for 3 years. So, dito yung isang ending niya, ending point. Dapat, nabayaran mo na siya somewhere here. Okay? So, ngayon, ano ba yung sense nitong mga, lines na to? So, ang gagawin natin is dadalhin natin ito lahat into future para mag-equate na lang siya dito sa ating future worth na kailangang bayaran. So, in that way, kung gagawin natin sila, dadalhin natin ito ngayon lahat sa ating future. So, kung itong una natin, dadalhin natin ito sa future, we have to stop somewhere muna dito sa kanyang 1.5th year. Kasi alam natin na this is compounded, this portion, sinabi dito with an interest rate of 12% compounded semi-annually. So, we can say na this is I is equal to 12%, and then your M is actually equal to 2 kasi semi-annual siya, compounded. So, basically, ito yung kanyang I. Pero dito, we know very well na if it has to extend from this point going to your future reference here, alam naman natin na this one governs your, given your present worth factor. I mean, you need to find your future worth factor given your present worth and then just the simple interest. Okay? So, hopefully, nag-guess nyo yung concept kung bakit ganun siya ginawa dito. Ilipat ko lang dito somewhere. So, you have F given P and then I% and then N. So, dito sa portion na to, simple interest yung gagamitin. Pero dito, siya ay compounded interest, no? And then, that's the same thing that goes for your 5,000. So, basically, dito siya, hanggang dito, you should be using your compounded interest that where I is equal to 16%, 12% pala, pero compounded siya monthly, so M is equal to 12. Okay. So, with this, we move forward naman dun sa, kailangan kasi natin idiretso siya hanggang third year. So, dito siya, no? So, meron ka pang natirang 0.5 year, and then, yung 0.5 year na yun should be given as F of P at I% and then N. So, basically, simple interest na siya, pero 0.5 year lang. And then, equivalent na yun sa ating F. So, hopefully, nag-guess nyo yung concept kung paano tayo nag-cash flow from this certain initial amount going to your future. So, with this, let's try doing this na para ma-solve natin yung F. So, therefore, F is equal to, what is, starting from 3,000, what is the value from 3,000 using this general formula from 0 to 1.5 years. So alam naman natin na if this is compounded annually, so we have P1 and then multiply this by 1 plus the interest is 12%, pero alam naman natin na siya ay compounded semi-annually, so that is 2, and then that is 2 times the number of years would be 1.5, so that is 1.5. Okay, and then now that you have the value of this P1, now we will be multiplying that to the simple interest rate, so that it starts from 1.5 year going to the 3.50 year. So that is multiplied by 1 plus, sabi dito kasi, the interest rate is actually, nasan ba yun? Single payment na 16%. So we'll be using that 16% na payment natin, no? So with this, that should be equal to 1 plus 0.16 and then raise that to, compounded quarterly pala to eh. So with that, I di compounded quarterly pala to. So we have here over 4. Okay? And then we raise that to 4 times, this one is 0.5, 1, 1.5, 0.5, 1, 1.5, and then 2. So meron ka pang 2 years. So that is times 2. So hopefully na-guess nyo yung first natin from this 3,000 going to your 3.50 year. And then you add natin ngayon yung ating P2. So yung P2 natin, and then sabi dito, from 0 to 3rd year, alam naman natin na it should be paid using this 12% compounded monthly. So that is 1 plus 0.12 and then divided by 12. And then sabi natin kung monthly siya, and then ilang years ba yan? So we have 12 times 3 years. Okay? Pero the same thing that goes for this, we multiply this by the simple interest rate. So 1 plus 0.16 over 4. Pero in this case, since meron lang tayong 0.5 years, so that is 4 times 0.5. Okay, so hopefully ay nag-guess nyo yung concept kung bakit siya naging ganon for our future worth. In this case, I can now substitute for the value. So F is equal to your P1, that is 3,000, okay, times, this will be 1.06, so 1.06. Let me just rewrite muna para mas simple na. So 3, and then I think this should be 1.04 raised to 8 plus P2, which is 5,000, and then 1, this becomes 1.01. So 1.01 raised to 36 times 1.04. Now 4 times 0.5 would be, I think that is 2. Okay, so this is your value of F, which gives you an equivalent of, so this is equal to 12,627.5605 pesos yan. So ang goal lang natin is whenever you have this certain period na kailangan mo dun lang bayaran, so you apply the interest rate na napagkasunduan, and then after that, so free nang mag-move yung atin into a simple interest rate na based na rin to sa depende kung anong obligation you have to settle on that certain condition. So ganun lang kina-compute yung mga gantong cases. Just do the cash flow. Basta okay kayo magawa ng cash flow, then madali na ma-solve yun. Basta galingan nyo lang paggagawa nito. Kasi pag mali to, probably mali din yung makukuha nyo sagot. Now, what if you try using the present worth in this case? So, wala tayong gagalawin dito, which makes it easier naman kung walang gagalawin dito, no? Kasi gagawin natin, babalik natin to eh. Pero this one would be a little complicated kasi you have something like 3 stops here. So, yung una, your first stop would be here sa 3rd year. So dito, yung unang stop natin, pero you just have to use this simple interest rate. Pero from this going to your I think this one. So this one, you use the compounded interest rate to get to 5,000, pero you also have to add the interest rate that is obtained from this one going to your first bracket 1.5, and then another one from this using compounded interest discrete payment. So this is how you do it for your present worth. So, parang dalawa lang din siya, no? It's just that binabalik lang natin yung scenario. So, ganun yung gagawin natin. And in this case, medyo mas complicated siya, no? Kasi parang meron kang meron ka dyan parang dalawang F1, F2. Kasi diba parang F1, F2. Parang ganun yung gagawin mo dyan eh. May F1, F2 ka, and then you have to incorporate that F1, F2 in terms of P. So, each one of them, you add them, and then yun magiging sagot for this case. So, ganun siya for present worth. So, hopefully, try nyo siya sa present worth para makuha nyo itong value ng F. Okay? So, I think we're done with this problem. Let's move forward naman dun sa next.